Welcome to SSAID. We're now going to go through the recreation process. The first thing we need to do, again in SSAID, is create a client. We need to create a client. All of our clients have their own services. So we're going to call this Recreation A Dennis. Let me get these put in here. Always got to have a record for the seniors that are using the services in SSAID. Okay, so I'm going to save this record. Again, we get right into the pertinent information, the demographics, everything about the individual itself, himself or herself. The number one thing, again, I keep emphasizing is the birth date is very important for recording demographics. And whatever other information you'd like to record here, cell phone, email, income, etc., etc. I'm going to save this record, Recreation A. Okay, now we've got a new client. Okay, and this client's going to use recreation services in our senior center. So we're going to go right to services here, click services, and we're going to add that service, recreation, right there. We say add. It comes up the day that we started. He started as in the recreation. If he stops for some reason, you can log that. If we have to assess him, there's dates here. The next assessment date, the last one. What funding? If there's a funding source that helps pay for your recreation events. If there's son or daughter is going to be billed for the event, you can put their information here. There's also client notes, and that's all there is. So we would save this record. Go back to client details, and in the client details it shows that we now have this person is an active recreation member or that can use the recreation in our senior center. Okay, so right now let's go from there. That is the first process in SSAID to get this process moving. We have to have a client, and they have to have a service, and under that service it's recreation. So now let's go back to home. And under home, now that we have a client under recreation, we show we have 88 here. We go into the daily process. And the daily process consists of either manually going in and entering an event. I'm going to pull up this person that we just entered. I'm going to pull them up. And manually, I can enter what funding they're using, how many units, and what activity they performed in today. So under bingo, say they did bingo today, I hit save. Okay, so now under current details, I can see for today what this person's done. Gonna enter a date here. Let's see, 0701-2013. 07-04-2013. I can see from this date range. Again, this person we just entered, he played bingo on this date. Again, if you have different branches, we can show that also. We have a lot of senior centers that have multiple branches, and you can see where they logged into. Now we just entered this manually, the recreation event. What most senior centers do, I'd say 99% of them do, they have a barcoded card that come in here, and it sits in their lobby, and they'll enter they'll scan their barcode. Let me find a valid one here. It will come up under recreation and show what with their finger they can push on the touch screen after they scan their card, what they're going to do for today. They'll scan that and they'll touch it and they'll hit enter, and we've got them tracked. We're now tracking what their events they actually performed today or they were involved in. So we've done it both ways, manually and with the touch screen. So let me get out of the touch screen here. Okay, so we set the client up, we set them up as a service under recreation, and then under the barcoded screen we can scan whatever events that are occurring that day for that member, or we can go down and do it manually under recreation. And we can also edit those fields. Um, we bring up current details. That would show the people that for today has done some event. Okay, like I said, we did 2 scans here. It shows what we scanned. We can do it and update it. We can delete it if we decided not to use it or change it or whatever. Okay, so that is the daily process of recreation. Now, recreation itself, let's get into recreation. Under recreation, um, someone has to set up the events. A coordinator, they have to set up the calendar. And there's many ways to do this. We've done it many ways to make it simple for the senior centers. You can come in here by date range and set up, and then by dates and by times, different activities that you would like to show up on the touch screen or on your calendar. You would go ahead and you would reserve these dates and times for your senior centers for these events. And what happens is under the time, say the time is from 8 to 9 a.m., that event would only show up for 1 hour on the touch screen. It wouldn't be there all day. It would only show up for that time frame. After 9 p.m., that event would not show up as advisory council. Or you could only show it on Thursdays, and you could show it for 2 years, for the next 2 years. This is going to be our event here, and it's only on Thursdays from 8 to 9, advisory council. Okay, and that would show up on your recreation touchscreen. That's one way of logging events. Another way is the schedule. We just did the schedule. We go to calendar. Calendar is very simplified. It will bring up the whole month, whatever month and year you want, whatever day you want, or all of them. And you can go in and you can check what you want to see come up on your touchscreen, what events, recreation events. Very, very simple. And you'd hit save every time you updated them. Okay. That is another way to log events. Again, we have many features, many options here because people like doing different things. Under the activity select, here's another way. If you have an event that's coming up and it's every day from 8 to 5 or whatever your opening hours are, blood pressure check, you can put it in here for the next year, next month, whatever, and you hit save it, and it will show this event on your touchscreen from 8 to 5 every day. And that's just a real easy way of getting it out there also. The next one is called Activity Billing Setup. This will bring up every event that you have defined in your senior center. You can take this, let's go under bingo. Let's go to edit it. If you edit bingo, you can edit it. It's billable or it's not billable, okay? Or if it's under some funding. You define these drop-down boxes under the items in the main menu. There's a thing called wellness. Under wellness, you can track if it's emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, spiritual wellness. You can track that and get reports, and it's great for funding. Also under type, is it recreation or is it health and wellness? You can put how many times an hours of a week that this occurs, or it occurs. It takes place in 1 hour. It occurs 3 times a week. You can define also how many times the event is displayed. If there's a cost involved, you can put a cost. Say it's $10 per class or $3 per class per person. You can put this cost in here. And once you have this information, you hit save, and it keeps it tracked for you. So this is a good way to edit each event for recreation. You can keep track under billing and the reporting different methods, and it helps for funding purposes. So under recreation, we went through all 4 of these scheduling events and billing. Now under the 5th one, you've got the calendar view. You can look at the calendar per month on what activities you've scheduled, and you can see the times and the dates of each scheduled event for your recreation. And you can also print this off. We have a print format. We have some other features where you have a portable scanner, which it may not pertain to your senior center, but you can download the events to your scanner and then use the handheld scanner on buses and in activity auditoriums to track people's cards instead of coming to the touchscreen scanner to lobby. So that's recreation. Now, recreation, once you set up the activities and once you set up the client and their services as recreation, you're ready to roll. But the number one thing I need to just emphasize on you, if you go to items, under recreation, items is all the drop-down boxes in a whole system per service. Under recreation here, we have a thing called new activity availability. If you want to add a new event to your senior center, say a Course on Miracles, you hit add. This is your senior center over here. Okay. And then once it's over here, you would have to check box that you want it to show up on your calendar or under your system. So what we've done, we've taken every senior center, every event that they've created, everybody, and we put it on the left side here. So instead of you have to reinvent the wheel, if somebody already created a men's golf event, you would just add it to your senior center. This on the right side is your senior center. And then what you would do is whatever you add from the left to the right, if you want to see it showing up on your events, you would just click, like the lunch outing, you would click update and update it. Now it's available for your senior center. And then when I showed you the calendar earlier, you can click that box to have it show up on the touch screen. Now the other thing is for each event, you can add a facilitator. There may be somebody's name that is the dance. Let's see, her name is Danny Smith. Might be her name or his name. The facilitator for the dance. A lot of places required you to have a facilitator with each event. Let me go back here. Go under items, go under recreation, and under facilitators, there they are. Okay, it shows their name. So you can keep track of who's the actual teacher or facilitator for each event. So let's go over a summary right now of recreation. Under recreation, first of all, you've got your client you have to set up. You have to add a service called recreation to that client. Okay, and again, over here is a dashboard that shows the total number of active clients you have under recreation. Once you set up the client and the recreation service, then you could go down and you schedule your recreation events. And there's many ways to do that. You can schedule it per calendar, per day, per time, within date periods. You can set up the billing, what it calls, what kind of it's wellness, spiritual, whatever. You can view your calendar once you're done. And then to bring in events, recreational events into your senior center, you would go to the items. You would go under recreation. And under recreation, you would bring up the new activity availability. And from here, this shows you all of the activity events under recreations you have on your senior center on the right side of this screen. And if it's got a check mark, that means it shows up on your calendar if you want it to. And then on the left side is all the ones that are available. Now, if there's an event, a recreation event that's not available, nobody's created, and you want to create it, you can come over and add it. Say Dennis food lunch. I'm going to add a new event that no other senior center has, and I'm going to add it to my senior center. So once I added it to the left side of the bucket, I'm going to find it first of all, Dennis food lunch. I'm going to say add it to my senior center. Okay. Once I add it to my senior center, I want to update it so it shows up on my senior center. Now you can add pictures. You notice there's pictures here. If you want to add a picture to any of these events, you would just click add and it would pull a picture off of your hard drive on your PC at the time and update it. So you could take personal pictures of individuals playing chess or checkers and it would show up on the touch screen. So this is the recreation events, how you would add them to your senior center. So overall, this is the entire recreation process. Again, the senior, you have to add a client. You have to add a service to that client called recreation. From there, you would go down and set up your recreational services, all the activities that you want to show up on the calendar, and which will also show up on your touch screen if you have a touch screen, or else you can do it manually. And then once you're done there, you can always go out to items and you can add new recreational events that may not be out there already on your senior center side of recreations. You can add more to it. That's pretty much how recreation works. So if any questions, again, you can always call us at our 800 number. Um, but we got reports. Let's go to reports under recreation. You can pull up reports, any kind of reports you want. If it's not there, we can create it for you, customize it. But we got pretty much everything intact here. And then besides reports, we've got the billing. You can go to billing under recreation. We have 3 different reports. You can pull up, it's by dates, by activities. You can sort it any way you'd like. You can just bring up a activity and look at that, or you can bring up all activities within a date range. So we didn't limit it to any certain way. You can bring it up in any format or any sorted sequence you would like. So you got your reports and you got your billing. And that's pretty much the whole process of recreation.